All right, this is gonna be probably part one. This is the 13,000 watt generator. I have some complaints, I guess you could say. Actually, multiple complaints. Where do I start? Oh boy. Well, first of all, these cables weren't right. I had to mess around with them. I had to actually unbolt them because the plug right there, they were completely opposite. And I mean, it was twisting them real hard. So I had to flip all that over. And I think a gorilla from China worked on this because every bolt I had to lock double wrenches to make it work. But this bracket right there with that bolt that holds that on, that was smash tight, 300 foot-pounds. The battery, instead of sitting flat, the bottom was about here. It was just hovering, literally in there, and you could not move it. So I had to take this apart and bend that. The little rubberish stuff they put behind here was all messed up, so I re-gooped it and stuck it on there and tightened it down. This whole face is plastic. You have to be extremely careful because it'll just pull off. It's just sitting, there's just a tab here and a tab here, and that can just pull right off. So that's that. I'm trying to think real quick here, not hold everybody up. The battery charging port, it comes with this little wall wart. You just plug the end in. Here's the end. Just got an end thingy. You can, battery maintainer, I guess. You just plug it in there. When you plug it in, nothing lights up. So make sure your outlet's working because there's no LEDs on the wall plug. There's no LEDs that come on this. It just plugs in and I'm assuming that cable is feeding down there somewhere and it's getting to the battery to keep it maintained. The breaker switches are as cheap as possible. They got like a roller wheel in there in between them. I don't know what would be the necessary for that. We don't need bearings in the breakers. It does have the two heavy duty plugs, and these are the 110s. Well, it has that one too, another one for the RV or whatever. I got it mainly for this big one for running the welders and a grinder. The one thing I like is, I haven't tried it yet, automatic idle down. You can flip that and it, when you're not pulling power, it'll idle down, so that'd be nice for the welder. The other nice thing is here, gotta grab it, bear with me. It comes with a key fob. It's supposed to work 100 feet. So that'll work good. So in the middle of a project I'm welding, I can just shut her down and not be running it. And I don't know, I want to see how that automatic idle. I was pretty happy when I saw that because that's a nice thing to be able to idle down like the big welder generators do, because that's what I'm using this for. Is it's going to be mainly used as power and welders. And if you have a 10, these are other wrenches. If you have a 10 and a 13, that's pretty much everything. It comes with a little screwdriver, comes with some washers, comes with the bolts for the wheel I'm not using, comes with the lanyard, comes with these cheap feet that I'm also not putting on. Those are worthless to me. It's going to be mobile, but it's going to be mobile on this trailer. I bent my crane, if you'll see in the other video. I had to tweak all that back. That wasn't set up for that job. Here's the oil I originally got, real quick. This is supposedly specially formulated, but after some reading, I went with this. It takes a quart, 0.3, whatever you want to call it. And then let's come up here. Here's the wheels. They're pretty much from a barbecue grill. I can't believe they have real bearings in them though. That's unbelievable that they spent money to put bearings in these things when they have cheaped out on so much more. Again, this is just what I do. I'm not telling you what to do. This piece, oh my goodness, if you want a rattle nightmare, leave this on there. It goes around the muffler. My goodness. What's next? This box, I don't know what it is, just extra parts like from NASA or something. Extra rattle pieces. It's all off because I'm not using it. Let me get around here where I get closer for you guys. Trying to get around here, it's a mess. Okay, oh, it comes with a cheap as they could figure out spark plug wrench with a little pipe. Here's the spark plug. Let's see if we can get it down here and get it to focus. F7RTJC. And it's got the 3 on the bottom, 3 electrodes there. I'm gonna change it out for an NGK. I always run NGK on the small motors, I like it. Gonna go that route. This was around the side of the bottom of the motor. It was underneath right there. What a rattle trap. It was held on by 1 bolt. And this whole piece, you could just touch it and it would snap over here. So I deleted that. Again, I'm not telling you to do any of this. This is just what I'm doing. I'm showing you what I do only. This piece was another piece, garbage. Like, that's how it was. I didn't do that. It was wrapped. I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it. It was wrapped right there around those fin holes. I'm gonna be using this, so I'm not worried about rats and mice and cockroaches in there. So it's gonna make it have much more airflow too. And there was this junk shoved in there if you're gonna be working in the woods. I'm not working in the woods. That's just gonna get carboned up, clogged up, and it's gonna be in the trash anyways. All those bolts are bolts that I took out because those are all extra rattling bolts, and all a bunch of tin and clamps and pieces that were just useless. Just useless and more useless stuff. I gotta get in here and I gotta take that rattle trap. There's another huge cover up there. This is for people that, you know, want to do it better. I don't know whatever way you want to put it. This is the way I'm doing it. I'm gonna upgrade this too. This is pretty cheap. And it's a shame that you have to go to $4 or $5 grand to get anything better. And I wasn't gonna spend that right now. I needed something to get up and running. And then if you can see here, that cap, that's just electronics and a solenoid that sit on top of this carburetor. That whole cap and piece was all busted and hanging. And they put that on there right from factory because none of the sidewalls were busted. Nothing around it got in there to hit it, or the box wasn't crushed or nothing. I'm planning I'm gonna get a little bit of money back for that issue. I've already taken pictures and documented it. And then this here, I know it's dark, but if you understand motors, this is the propane line that goes from the big switch on the front. Well, that already had a huge groove in it already. So I put a zip tie there. I'm gonna put some of this puzzle mat that I use here. I'm gonna put a piece of that in there and then re-zip tie that, but for now I'm gonna run the zip tie. It was rubbing right against the back of the air cleaner and putting a huge gouge in it already. So I fixed that. And then the wiring underneath here, you can see the plug right there. I'm not gonna go into detail. Again, this is what I'm doing. I'm not telling you to do any of this. I had to go in, there's clamps. They just squeeze around. They'll just bend with your fingers. And I had to redo them so none of them hit the gas tank. There was like a bunch of them that were riding right up and would be rubbing against the gas tank. So I just re-crimped those up in there. If you buy one, you're gonna see it all. Just look in the side where the fuel is. And everything else has been gorilla'd in here. The upgrade I'm gonna do is from this the fuel line. I think it's quarter, don't quote me on it, but I think it's quarter fuel line. That is the absolute piece of cheapest fuel line I've ever seen. I could just go get a piece of rubber fish tank hose and use that. I'm gonna go to Napa tomorrow and get a good piece of quarter fuel line and change that out. That's absolutely ridiculous. But again, I needed the 13,000 and I wasn't gonna go to $5 grand right now because I don't know what the plan is exactly. But coming around to the front, that's pretty much all of it. The other thing I did was I turned this bar around backwards to leave this standing up so I can roll my welding leads and hang them off of this. I think it's gonna work all right. It seems pretty smooth right there to hang them, and see if that works out for me. And what I did was I just turned it 180 degrees, flipped it, put it back on, and then I used the same bolts, and I used the quick connect pin. Don't even know what that's for. I haven't looked at the directions, but it snapped in there nice. You will need to add a washer or two if you do what I'm doing right here, because the bolt has a top end on it like a shelf, and it needs a washer to take up the thickness, because even though it's cranked down tight, it's still got a little bit of play there. So that's all that. And the air cleaner box just comes with some foam. And when I was in Napa yesterday, I was looking at air cleaners. and I think there's a Briggs & Stratton. I'll be making a second video. There's a regular real air cleaner that'll fit this. I think, pretty sure it will. It looks exactly the shape of that piece of foam that's in here. That foam, I would not recommend, and that's the only thing I'm gonna say that I would not recommend. And I recommend that you take it out and you change this out to a real air cleaner, because that foam that's in there is the same foam that they use for the intake on that cool down mechanism on a Toyota 4Runner, and the stuff will disintegrate and it'll suck it right into your intake and right into the carburetor. Not a good thing. Again, as soon as I figure out what that is or what'll retrofit and sit in there nicely, I'll make a video on that here soon. Overall, it's a China built generator. What can I say? I need to cap that off. I deleted that. I didn't want that on there where it was running. It didn't need to be there and it had to go. So I just need to get that, a little short hose, run it down to there, and it's just a vent is what it is. But how they routed it was just stupid. It's gonna get hot and melt and cause more trouble. And for right now, I think that's what I got. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned for part 2 of this.